today's subject matter is love is the magic that keeps us all alive. And there we come to energy again, because what is love? It's a dynamic energy, right? It is dynamic. There are more songs, poetry written about love than there is any other thing, right? Love is a many splendid thing, right? Think of another love song, any love song. The power of love. What other love song can you think of?
All you need is love.
Da, 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 da. Yeah, and that is really, poems have been written about love. The Upanishads, which is the oldest of all scriptures, speak of this dynamic energy as the Lord of love. And it speaks of it as sparks of light. The Lord of love spews out sparks of light, like you would see a fire would spew out so many sparks of light, right? When you light a fire, do you see all those sparks? So we all come from this consciousness or energy called love. And when we live that way, then we become truly happy and we feel truly energized. This is living in the spirit. So many people think living in the spirit means, I must get enlightened. And there's so many people so busy being enlightened that they forget about that the rest of the world is part of them, that humanity is part of us. We put ourselves on pedestals thinking we are better than somebody else because we are enlightened. But what is enlightenment but love? It's not about separation. That's why I love this yantra. Truth is one, parts are many. That we have all these cults developing and all these religions developing, separating all of us. I am better than you, and it's not true. It's just not true. We're just all totally different. Some souls, sure, are more enlightened because they have learned the secret, which is love. When you find that energy and love inside of you, you do become alive. But the love we speak about, it's not the love I love you, which is really beautiful to love one another. It's far deeper. It's so deep that it involves so many of the yogic terms that non-attachment. So many people, when they think of non-attachment, they think withdraw, walk away, don't get involved, you'll get hurt, let's go and stay in our own world. And love has nothing to do with any of that. The detachment we are talking about here is possessiveness. And once you feel you possess things or own things, you fall into a prison or a trap. We create our own prisons, we create our own traps, and when we do that, there is no love in our life. Because once you want to own someone or you want to own something and you feel you're going to lose it, what happens instead? It's not love anymore, is it? It's fear. It's fear. And the moment fear comes in, you're not in that dynamic energy anymore. You've lost that connection. Then you become depressed and you become sad and you become miserable. And why has life done that to you? It's not life has done anything to you. This is the journey. It is the journey. We are on a great journey, and the destination is constantly to remember that what keeps us alive on this journey, what keeps us going, is to never lose that spark of love in our life. And during our most painful times, we will be tested. Now we have stories in different traditions that help us to understand that. And one of those stories is the story of Job in the Bible. And of course they use words like gods and demons, but they're all symbolic. And if you really look deep into the story and see its truths, that's what we take out of it, not the word of the scripture. The Bhagavad Gita says scriptures are as useful as a reservoir during flood time to a person who is already enlightened. So you see, if you're already enlightened, then you look at a scripture, you look at a book, and you don't follow it word by word, but you go deep into the element of love. And here the story of Job is, and this is really what happens to all of us, and the angel and demons are really all in here. All in here, I should say. Here is the Lord of love, deep in the hearts of all, as the Upanishads say. I will read some of the quotes to you. Deep in the hearts of all is the Lord of love, no larger than the thumb. Deep in the hearts of all is the light of all lights. And they use the word in the great scriptures, this word love, as light as well. Because where you have light, there's no what? Darkness, right? The moment there's light, there's no more darkness. And light symbolizes what? Knowledge. And the knowledge we're talking about here, and the love we're talking about here, is not knowledge that you can get from a book, but you can get from your own life, that you can get from your own heart, that you can get from your own consciousness, that you can get from your own prana. This knowledge that we are talking about is deep within each one of us. Yes, books help us and stories help us, but when we get stuck in this story and look at it, Job is a fool, or Job, of course, he was God's favorite. There's no such thing as demon and angels. You get too caught up in the story. Don't get caught up in story. Life brings us many stories. The problem starts is when we get caught up in it. Instead of watching the story as you'd watch a lovely movie, right? A good movie is what? Good times and bad times. Remember when I first started on this path many years ago, and my husband loved James Bond movies. So I took to watching them with him, and I forget which one it was now. I've watched so many. And it started off that he was in a prison in Russia. It was Pierre Brosnan, I think, of that one. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, and I remember thinking, I'm such a boring person. I never liked James Bond or anything. I'm going to really decide to enjoy watching this movie. See, it's a mental thing, right? Because I used to go, such a pain in the neck. Oh, I don't like James Bond. That's what I used to say. Till I started yoga, and I go, my master said I need to learn to love everything. And if this is something my husband loves, why am I always saying no? It's quite horrible to always say no to somebody who's your partner. So I changed my way of thinking, and I started to watch this James Bond movie, and I start to think of it as fantasy and fun and taking me out of my rigid mind. And I remember when the first scene started and he was in prison and they were hurting him, and I say to myself, oh, this is really exciting. I hope he makes it through. And then, all the dynamism with all the props and the fantasy. And then I thought, when you start to really look at life, it is the most painful times in your life, the most precarious times in your life, that wakes you up. It wakes you up to look for something more, to look for something deeper, to look for some solace, to look for some hope, to look for something that will take you away from this fear or this adventure or this I'm falling, I could die the next moment. And that's something I realized through this funny experiment with my husband, was just loving everything, even a James Bond movie. And from that movie, I learned how simple it really was to change our own energy. How simple it was. How happy he became when I got excited with him in the movie, when I laughed with him. How easy it was to give love. Instead of saying, no, I don't have time for this, or I want to do my thing. And it's, because when we first fall in love in life, any of you been in love? I think everybody in this room has been in love, right? When you first fall in love, it's such a lovely feeling, right? Your heart tingles, your fingers tingle, you get so excited, you want to see that person, you dress up, you do everything to make the person happy, right? Problem starts is afterwards. When you're long enough with that person, you expect them to be like you. You want them to do what you want to do. You want them to be like you, and you want to change them to be you. Yucks. Horrible, isn't it? We're quite horrible, aren't we? And I realized I was quite horrible because I was doing all those things. But how do you change it? How do you change it? You know, and I read the scriptures, and the scriptures taught me I can't change anything. I can change the way I look at things. And the shortcut, really, as all the masters tell us, is the path of bhakti. Bhakti means it's the shortcut to finding hope, to finding peace, to finding joy. And I heard my master say it many times. And I read it in many books, but I never really understood it. And these great spiritual truths are only real when we live them. And when we stop expecting everybody else to do it for us, and we start expecting ourselves to live by the highest order of forgiveness and love. Because there's no higher order. Respect, integrity, this is the meaning of real love. Loyalty, friendship, that is real love. Nowadays, we only want to love because we want something in return. And you know what? At the end of the road, we're all going to be going out of this earth, most of us, on our own. On our own. We can't hold anybody back, not even ourselves. The thing is, we don't know when and how. Thank God. Why would you want to know? It'll happen, it'll be enough. It'll be enough when the time comes. You just want to be prepared. That's all. Be prepared. So if you live in real love, and going back to that word, non-attachment or detachment, the detachment we're talking about here is just simply knowing nothing belongs to us. Nothing. Nothing. And when we can accept that truth, which is a hard truth to reach, takes many years or much time to really understand that. Much contemplation, much meditation, much study of life itself, much study of death itself, much study of people itself, much study of our world itself, much listening to what people are telling you, rather than inflicting what you feel upon them. We're too busy thinking we're so smart and thinking that everybody should live the way we do, that we lose our greatest, highest order of respect. Listening to where somebody else is coming from, or where life is coming from. Because life will give us many challenges that are so hard sometimes. Too much for us, we think. But I always go back to the teaching of Mother Teresa. God will never give you more than you can take. Oh, why do you trust me so much? You must love me a lot to trust me that I can take this much. And that's when we use the word, that energy that's inside of us, the Lord of Love, as God. Because it's just a word. It's just a word, but it has this great energy of love. And I questioned love a lot. And I have noticed in all the years of my work that when people have been in pain or people have had problems, what's helped them through is not really the psychology of the mind, but the love that they felt and redeemed or reawoke in themselves. It was the love that healed. It's love that heals. I see it again and again and again. And then I realized how I could change my world is my love for my family and everybody around me. But not only everybody, everything around me. Stop complaining. First thing, we talk about that in Sri Patanjali, right? Who is the happiest person? The one who practices, do you remember? Contentment. By the practice of contentment, what happens? Supreme joy is gained. We sometimes need these books to help us remind us of this. So when you're not content, you're not in love with the moment. When you're not in love with the moment, you're not living fully. When you're not living fully, you're not dynamic. When you're not dynamic, and I'm talking about dynamic inside, I'm not talking about outer show of dynamism. I'm talking about the inner, you know what I mean, when you're in love, that tingling feeling. And when you're not dynamic, you're lost. You're lost. You're just totally lost in pain, in sorrow, in suffering. You're just caught in it. And the world seems so bleak, and it seems so black, and you seem so alone. Nobody can console you. It is at those times, call to the energy of love. Whatever makes you open that heart again, especially in those times, but it is especially in those times that we seek darkness. This is what we must change, the medicine. The medicine is love. Don't go into a hole. If you see yourself going into a hole, go to somebody that is loving, or watch something that is loving, or go with a friend that you love so much, or pray to anybody you believe in, Jesus, Mary, Gurudev, whatever. It's not important. It is to bring that love up again, whoever does it to you. I mean, I asked a young man once, I said, do you believe in God? He goes, you know what? He said, I believe God lives in my wife. Don't you think that was such a lovely thing to say? I thought that was such a lovely thing to say. He says, when I see my wife, I feel God. He got it. Do you see? And that's why he lives a good life till to this day. He questions God, he questions this, highly intelligent man, but absolutely loves his wife. And she's not easy. I know she's not easy. So his love is truly unconditional. And his unconditional love for her makes his life extremely peaceful. Isn't that interesting? He loves her unconditionally, so she can get her temper tantrums, etc. Doesn't bother him. He just accepts her totally. And because he's learned to accept her totally, guess his relationship with the world. When there's not people around him that are loving, he can't be bothered. He won't try and be friendly and make people like him. Can't be bothered because he already found his God, you see. So simply, interpretation. We interpret that we judge all the time. There is nothing to judge. Each one of us has our way to the divine, and that divine, for me, I have learned in my life, is love. And I think for most people, I have seen, whether they believe in a God or not, when they don't have love in their hearts, they are empty. They're empty inside. They're so sad. So what do? The only thing we can do is make them feel loved. Make them feel loved. Make them feel worthy. Make them know who they are inside. Reawaken this in them. Reawaken that spirit in them. It's not about you or me. It is we are all connected. When you are happy, I will be happier. I'm already happy, but if you are all happy, then we'll all be happier because there's a greater energy. It's vibration. It's cosmic. It's energetic. We are electrical beings. If you just look at our anatomy and physiology, it's just like we're electrical instruments. Our nerve centers all look like wires. And each of the nerve centers will come to certain spots, which we will call the chakras in our body. They all gather at the 7 chakras. Why? Because we're electrically designed. I wonder, we're computers. And somebody's working on us sometime. Sometimes I think we're somebody's movie. and maybe, the way to get out of this movie is to what we call self-realization. Self-realization. To realize this body doesn't belong to us, that we become the owner of this body rather than let the body own us. That is the difference. And that happens when we start to love things. We start to see beyond the narrow, beyond what the world tells us. We start to live in a lovely energetic field, and you can feel the field. And we are energetic, you see. And we can spread it, and that's why healing is in the hands, and that's why when we are in love, what do you want to do? Hug, hold hands, right? You want to hold hands when you're in love, because this is where the heart chakra comes to. And people want to hug you too, because they feel that energy. And when we do that, we create a lovely field for us to grow spiritually. Why spiritually? What is spiritually? Spiritually is while we are in this body to live a life of love. What else can we do? If you live a life of love and you know that love heals, then you live a beautiful life. You're the one that gains, and everybody around you will gain because your energy level is high. Forget everything else. You can be the greatest hatha yogi in the world and be a horrible human being. Is it not true? It's not about the hatha yoga. It's not about all the things we do. You could be a great meditator, and you don't know what's behind somebody's mind when they're meditating. They could be thinking horrible thoughts. What is a true yogi? A true yogi is one who lives in this energy called love. So if we understand this energy called love, and then you sit and meditate, all your thoughts will come up in your mind, and you will see the reason for your unhappiness, the reason for your sorrow, the reason for your pain is all within you. Yes, it's an outside situation that causes the pain, but you had to learn that everything is transient. Pain teaches us, unfortunately. We don't seem to learn otherwise. We take everything for granted. We take people for granted. We take life for granted. But when pain hits us, you have to think. You don't take anything for granted. So joy is out of your life. Everybody in this room, are you looking to be happy? Yeah, you see? And when are you happiest?
Tuesdays.
Thank you. And me too, I love Tuesdays, I love Wednesdays, I love it when I travel, I love it. Actually, I love it every day. And that's the change. That's the inner change. And this is the loving your life, good or bad. I know it's really bad sometimes. I really know how bad it is. I've been there many times. And what's kept me through, what's helped me is, is the words of my master, service. When you're in so much pain, if you think more about yourself and your pain, you really do drown. You really do drown. There's no other way. You just drown. The only way out is to get out of yourself and to put it into service and to say, oh my God, somebody needs it more than me. I'm really actually not in so much pain. There's so many people who are suffering. There's so many other people who need so much more. What can I do to alleviate their pain? I'm in so much pain. But when you try and alleviate somebody else's pain, you actually cure yourself of pain. If you want to stay in pain a long time, then think only of your pain. You will be definitely depressed. Guaranteed. The only way out is service. And all the great masters have taught us the secret. They've all taught us in the way they lived. What did they do? Master Shivananda: serve, love, give, purify, meditate, realize, do good, be good. Be kind, be compassionate. Those tools, those are our tools. And what is the benefit of serving somebody else? It's just to awaken the love within ourselves. Because when you make somebody happy, you feel so happy. And this was the practice of yoga. Working on oneself, not changing the world, not changing people, but changing myself. And with this practice came a connection. With this practice of love, there was a connection to an energy beyond words. Beyond words. I thank my master for this, Sri Swami Satchidananda, because he taught me of this connection that is beyond words. Because I saw that unconditional love in him, the no expectation, the no judgment, just pure love. Oh, it didn't mean he wasn't strict. He would tell you straight to your face. He would tell me straight to my face when I was wrong. Straight. And he'd slam the phone on me and I'd cry for hours. Best thing he ever did for me, because it made me look at myself. A person who really loves you will be truthful to you. They will not lie to you just to please you. When you try to please somebody to get their love, that is not love. That is you trying to get something from them. A real person that loves you will be so totally truthful with you. And if you really love them, you will understand their truthfulness is coming from that place to make you better, to make you a more wholesome human being and not so dependent on them, but finding you as who you truly are. That is real love. And when you vibrate on that level, life becomes quite joyful. You can live again, you can laugh again, you can be yourself again. And love is also accepting yourself for who you are too. Your personality, who you are. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says, the worst thing you can do is take somebody else's dharma and make it yours. What does that mean? It just means that we're all individuals. Fear arises when we try to be somebody else, because you can never be somebody else, because we're all so different. But when you try to be like somebody else all the time and you try to be them, you lose yourself. And when you lose yourself, you're fearful because you're not sure how you should act. How should I act for somebody to love me or like me like they like this person? No, don't do that to yourself. You should be loved for who you are. And in order to do that, you have to live in self-respect. You have to have integrity, honor, because these are the things that are truly us. If we don't live honorably, we expect people to live honorably, don't you? Who do you love? Who do you respect? People who are truthful, people who live in honor, people who are kind, gentle. Don't you love those kind of people? Then that's what we need to be ourselves. And then you will be those people. Because we are all those people. We all came from that same spark, that same light that got separated into these holograms that we call humans. We are holograms, you know that. When you see a picture pixelated and you see all the space between, I go, that's the real us, That's the real us. That's real us. We're just occupying space in this body. And in this body, we are very limited because we're in a container. That's why you can feel love from miles away. When you love someone, any of you have known this, when you live with someone for a long time or you love them very much, you can actually feel them from a distance. Any of you felt this? Yeah. It's really quite true. We used to do that experiment with my children and myself. I could many times when I first started this path, I'd call my daughter, she was in uni, and I go, Shani, this happened last night. Mom, how did you know that? And then she could do the same thing with me. I go, Shani, how did you know that? And then three of us, my son, myself, and me, we'd have the same dream at night, all three of us. It really is, we do travel astrally together. We do. We've had many, many, many lives together as different forms. I mean, this lifetime, thank God, we have forms that are quite pleasing, would you say? Quite pleasing, don't you think? Look at everybody in this room. Yeah? Everybody's so beautiful. Really, everybody is so beautiful. So this life, we have chosen this form. And of course, energy, and the energy that you carry on to the next form comes from your previous form. So obviously, the reason why you are in this room is because you already know everything I'm saying. You already know everything I'm saying. The only thing is, sometimes we forget because we live in such a material world. So you come here to remind yourself of what you already know. And we need to develop this love more because the world really needs it. One, a lot of kids really need it. Young people really need it. We need to set an example because the best way to teach is by the way you live, the way you act, the way you speak. It's the best way to teach. When you change, your children change, your parents change, your family changes, your friends change. And we can all make such a big difference with loving. My father was such a man, and I know I've spoken about him so much, but he really, from a small age, he used to just tell us again and again and again, if you want love in life, you must give love. Just give love, give love. He used to tell us that all the time. Just give love, just give love. So, love is the magic that keeps us all alive. So how do we awaken it in ourselves? How do we do it? First thing, get up in the morning. Gratitude. Even though you don't feel grateful for anything. Because there are days you will feel like that. We live on this earth, and let's be realistic, this earth can be a very harsh place. People can be very hurtful. Life can be very hurtful and fearful. So you know that is the weakness and that's the darkness. Accept it. Make friends with the darkness and make friends with the fear. And say, you know what? I'm even grateful for you. Because I know when I get through this, I'm really going to be in the light. I'm never going to want to be in you again. You'll say that. Make friends with the darkness. The darkness, once there's light, cannot stay. Cannot stay. You have to accept the darkness that is part of life. What you resist will persist. Stop resisting. Stop resisting. Start accepting what is dark in your own behavior and your own life. Start accepting and then bring light into it. Bring light into it by being grateful that you even have a body that is breathing. There's still things you can do to make a difference. There's so much you can create in this lifetime. There's so much you can leave behind. There's so much your smile can do for somebody else. Even if one person is benefited, you've made a difference. It's not the volumes. It's the joy of giving that coat that you love, or that book that you love. There's something in that giving, that self-sacrifice. Again, sacrifice in English language is not a very nice word, but in our language is beautiful, tapas. Something in that sacrifice makes you feel whole, because you are giving of you to see somebody else whole. But really, ultimately, we're all really all one in energy, because when this container is gone, when you leave this container behind, you can't see energy, can you? So if that energy is gone and my energy is gone at the same time, it can occupy the same space. We can actually become one. People ask me about twin souls and all that. Of course that exists. You can separate into many particles if you want. We're not going to go into science today. I'm not a scientist. Of course, because then there's no container. And that self-realization, that's when you realize all this when you're alive. So when you go to the next stage, God, you can be really free. You can be really free. But if you leave this earth and you think you are the container, hi ghost. That's where the ghosts come in. They're not yet free. So I'd like to read to you something from the Upanishads, if I may. For those who don't know, this is a beautiful version, Eknath Eshwaran. It's one of the best versions. There's many around, thousands of versions around. But this is, for me, very simply written and very beautiful. Okay, just looking for the pages. I marked them last night, actually. Okay. The Lord of Love is the one self of all. He has detached work, spiritual wisdom, and immortality. Realize the self hidden in the heart, and cut asunder the knot of ignorance here and now. Bright but hidden, the self with a capital S, that's what we call that energy or prana, the self, dwells in the heart. Everything that moves, breathes, opens and closes lives in the self. It is the source of love and may be known through love, but not through thought. It is the goal of life. Attain this goal. The shining self dwells hidden in the heart. Everything in the cosmos, great and small, lives in the self. It is the source of life, truth beyond the transience of this world. He is the goal of life. Attain this goal. Take the great bow of the sacred scriptures, place it on the arrow of devotion. Then draw the bowstring of meditation and aim at the target, the Lord of Love. The mantra is the bow, the aspirant is the arrow, and the Lord of Love is the target. So that's something. So this is why we meditate, to go within, really to go within. Meditation is not going without, because our senses are constantly doing that when we're awake. And meditation is to really awaken the Lord of Love within ourselves. And that's why sometimes the mind goes crazy and we cannot control it, and that's why it suggests using a mantra. Why? Because a mantra is just sound energy. Really, you don't even have to worry about the meaning of a mantra. It is sound energy, and sound, we know today, really heals, right? Anyway, all of us know music is the food of love, as Shakespeare said. I'd like to read to you something else. 92. Okay. The Lord is the light reflected by all. It's shining, everything shines after him. The Lord of love is before and behind. He extends to the right and to the left. He just used the words he, it could be she. He extends above, he extends below. There is no one here but the Lord of love. He alone is truth. He alone is. The Lord of love shines in the hearts of all. Seeing him in all creatures, the wise forget themselves in the service of all. The Lord is their joy, the Lord is their rest. Such as they are the lovers of the Lord. By truth, meditation, and self-control, one can enter into the state of joy and see the self shining in a pure heart. Truth is victorious, never untruth. Truth is the way, truth is the goal of life, reached by the sages who are free from self-will. Self-will basically means you want to control everything. You want to control people, you want to control life. You think life has to be the way you want to. Self-will. When you start to see there's very little we can control except our reaction to things, that's when we really grow up. Our reaction. That's how we should live. And if we can try and react with love, it will make us feel so alive. And even when you're angry with someone, okay, when you see yourself getting angry, learn to watch yourself and learn even to get the anger out in love. I love you, but I'm so angry with you. Make fun of that anger, lighten it. At the end, when I was angry at my husband, I just thought I just have to behave like a child. So I just go, oh, I don't like you today. And he'd do it back to me. And we just both start laughing. But we're really angry with each other. We had to be truthful about it. We couldn't pretend you're not angry when you are, right? Because that'd make you a liar. But we tried to make it fun. At least I did. And he followed suit. So we would lighten the energy, Because sometimes you're never going to agree about certain things. Are you? You're just not. Not with everybody in the world. And the resistance is the ego. I gotta be right. And of course your ego is gonna be biggest by the person you love the most. Because we always take them for granted more than anybody else. So, very grateful to second chance. I'm not taking anything for granted. Life is very short. Do not take anyone or anything for granted, including yourself. Especially yourself. Start to build up who you really are and start to be you. And if somebody doesn't like you, it's okay. So long as you behave your best and you can live with yourself, and you know deep inside you are truthful to you, that you do not want to hurt anyone, then you are safe in that love. You are safe in that love. When you feel retaliation, anger, you're not safe in that love. You're not safe. Be safe where you cannot harm a single soul. And then if they don't love you or they don't like you, it doesn't matter. You are so safe inside yourself. You are so strong in that love because the love lives within you. See, love does conquer. And at the face of your enemy, give love. Just give love, but nothing more. You just give love. Don't say anything. Just give love. Do not accept that hate to enter your vibrational field. All right? This will make you weak. The moment you take in what they say, feel hurt, you're done. You're done. They've sucked you into that negative energy field. So this is what we do with our work, which is meditation and talks, etc., is to build up the shield of love. The shield is love. It's not anger. It's not detached. Oh, I want to put this shield and this barrier here so you can't affect me. No, it's not hard. That doesn't work. You put on a barrier, they try to break down your barrier, and they try to break you down with it. It's not about barriers. It's about sheaths of love surrounding you, and it's circular. Actually, if you want to know this energy, it looks circular like this, and it moves circular in your body. It does. It does. That's a truth. I'm not lying. I felt it. And you actually do feel protected, because energy is lighter than the body, which is quite dense and heavy as a materials matter. So spirit is much lighter. So when you're in that loving feeling, you do get this swirling. This is why when they tell you to meditate, they say to sit like this, like a pyramid, right? Because sometimes when you meditate, anybody rocks, right? Yeah, you do that, right? So you're safe, you don't fall. Because it's your energies, the body is heavy, but the energy is light. So if you go to a spiritual place, of course, the body feels initially, it's too heavy for your vibrational field till it gets used to it. And love builds up your vibrational field. Isn't it cool? So, to end today's talk, I wish you all a lot of love. Oh, should I say that in the Upanishads, it's a lovely prayer. So, let me just see which page it is. I hope I wrote it down correctly. Just says, I did. I get happy when I get it right. May the Lord of Love protect us. May the Lord of Love nourish us. May the Lord of Love strengthen us. May we realize the Lord of Love. May we live and love for all. May we live in peace with all. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.